Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 6.
Good afternoon, East Coast Community College. How may I help you?
Good afternoon. My name's Sonia Stamp. I wonder if you could give me some information about your courses
Certainly.
and perhaps help me make a choice.
I'll see what I can do. What were you thinking of studying, Sonia?
Well, a while ago I started a bachelor's degree in accounting, but I only completed the first year. I'd like to study again, only this time something a bit more creative.
Then you've come to the right place. We've got courses in drawing, painting, photography, music, dance and drama.
I'm not sure I could make a career out of those, although I'm not bad at drawing.
Yes, it's not easy to earn a living as an artist. Still, if you like drawing, why not consider graphic design or desktop publishing?
To tell the truth, I'm not sure what desktop publishing is.
It's creating leaflets or brochures for advertising, or even entire books. You manipulate the text and images on your computer. We've got some really good tutors on that course, and lots of our students get work afterwards.
That sounds interesting. Where could I study desktop publishing?
There's a beginner's course at East Lakes, and we've just started one at the Randwick Community Centre.
Really? That's close by. I could walk from home.
Wait a minute. The Randwick course is a series of weekend workshops. You'd have to give up Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, that's no good. I waitress on Saturday, and I need that income. Tell me about the course at East Lakes.
East Lakes? Oh, sorry, that course has been filled, and there are already 2 people on the waiting list.
No problem.
Have you thought about web design?
Yes, I have. My cousin, who makes jewellery, wants to set up an online business. We've been talking about setting up our own website for ages.
Because these courses are so popular, you'd have to pay straight away.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 7 to 10.
So, Sonia, you've chosen web design.
Yes, just one more thing. How familiar would I need to be with computers before I start?
According to the information here, you need good keyboarding skills and a working knowledge of the Windows environment.
I've got both of those, but I'm not sure about my cousin. I'd like to study web design at your Randwick Centre. Is that possible?
I'm afraid our courses there are full. Another option is a daytime class. Do you have any commitments on weekdays?
I'm busy on Mondays and Tuesdays.
OK. There's a course at Daceyville on Fridays at noon for 2 hours. It runs from August to November for 13 weeks.
That's a fairly long time, 13 weeks. I mean, long enough to really learn something.
Yes, I agree. So, shall I put you down for web design at Daceyville?
I'm new to this area and I'm not sure where Daceyville is. Could you spell it for me and I'll look it up?
It's Daceyville. D-A-C-E-Y-V-I-L-L-E.
Thanks. Is it easy to get to by bus from Randwick?
The 400 bus stops right outside the school where the course is held, and the service runs until midnight.
Great. One last question. My cousin's a pensioner. Would she get a discount?
Yes, there's 20% off for full-time students or pensioners. She'll just have to bring her pension card to the first class.
No problem. Speaking of cards, I've got my credit card here. I'd like to pay.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a man talking about 28-day tours that his company organizes for students. Before you listen, you have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to Go16, the adventure tour company for high school students. I've met some of you young people before our last meeting, and I'm glad your parents could make it tonight. Let's get started. You probably know that our company takes students aged 16 to 18 to around 40 destinations worldwide. Our maximum group size is 14, and we're away for 28 days. We usually go in the long summer vacation, but a couple of groups go in winter. Last year, Go16 groups visited China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Peru. Sorry, not Indonesia, Malaysia. And this year, we're adding Ukraine. That'll be a winter trip because Kiev is gorgeous in the snow, but the climate brings additional challenges. But what you may not know is that Go16 is no ordinary business. We're as concerned about social responsibility as traveling. Of course, we go to beaches and restaurants like ordinary tourists, but every Go16 tour must include 3 things. Firstly, students learn some of the local language through a 10-day stay with a family. Then, they go on a trek. In Peru, we climb for 3 days in the mountains up to Machu Picchu. It's fantastic. Lastly, Go16 students volunteer for 2 weeks for a community organization.
Before you listen to the rest of the talk, you have 30 seconds to read questions 16 to 20.
While I'm on this topic of volunteering, our Go16 group in China in 2009 took part in an environmental project to prevent the desert spreading. Our students saw the Great Wall and the Forbidden City in Beijing first. Then they flew 3,000 kilometers west to Kashgar. They assisted scientists from a well-known research institute with laying plastic netting in the Taklamakan Desert. Over time, seeds are caught in this netting, and eventually plants grow to create a barrier against sand. In 2012, another Go16 group went to see the progress, and they were amazed. Grasses, bushes, and even trees had grown that stopped the desert spreading. I can hear your mothers thinking, laying plastic netting in the Chinese desert? That doesn't sound safe or educational. Why would my child be doing that? As to the safety, Go16 has very good insurance. All our staff is bilingual and familiar with local conditions. Furthermore, we follow New York State health and safety regulations in every country we're in. Concerning the educational value of the Desert Project, I think all of those Go16 students got straight A's in biology and geography back home. Perhaps you're wondering, what does all this cost? Go16 has 2 packages which you can read about in the brochure I'll pass round. Since the kids raise some of the money themselves, it's less expensive than you might think. As I said before, we've added Ukraine this year. We chose this country because the history of Eastern Europe is now part of the school curriculum. Some of you here tonight might be studying the communist period and the breakup of the former Soviet Union. Many Americans also have family members from there. Lastly, I was born in Kiev, the capital, so I'm Ukrainian American. I can give a special insight into the country and culture. Now, I said earlier that Ukraine is lovely in winter. However, some of the community projects Go16 will be involved with are connected to AIDS and drug use. These may be challenging for teenagers. In my opinion, the world is a complex place, and understanding complexity is an important part of education. Of course, Go16's tours are fun. Trekking is fantastic fun, but they're also about personal development and understanding our ever-changing world. Now it's your turn. Any questions?
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You hear a discussion between a couple and a real estate agent. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Now, this first property I'm going to show you will be ready for letting in about 2 weeks. It's on the market for £1,500 per calendar month, but the landlord is open to offers. If after the viewing you think you might be interested, might I suggest that you make an offer, however, as a property like this won't stay on the market for very long.
My first impressions are good, I have to say. I like the location. It seems to be a quiet residential area, and the proximity to the common is advantageous, as we like to go for walks together in the evening. What do you think, Becca?
It does look rather impressive, Nick.
Let's go inside, shall we? Now, as you can see, the front door opens into this lovely, spacious reception room where you can welcome guests. Let me lead you into the kitchen area, which is just through here.
I know I've asked you this already, but I just want to make sure that the furniture stays, correct?
Yes, everything you see here will remain on the property. The only things the landlord is taking with him are his television and DVD player.
Why is he vacating such a lovely flat as this?
He and his wife have just had their first child, and they felt it was time to look for somewhere more spacious which can accommodate a family more comfortably. They've just purchased a 3-bed house in one of the city's suburbs, but they were eager to hold on to this property too, which is why they've decided to let it out. They now look at their old home as an investment proposition.
Very sensible. The size of the kitchen is something I have a little bit of an issue with, though. After all, while there are plenty of counters and workspaces, there isn't a kitchen table or anywhere to eat.
True, but come through here and you'll find a very generous dining area.
Wow, this is roomy. We could definitely entertain here, Nick. Do you mind if we view the bedroom and bathroom next?
Of course. This way. Here's the master bedroom. There's a small room off to the side there that could arguably be used as a second bedroom, but I think the lack of space makes it better suited to acting as an office. Your ensuite bathroom is through here.
It looks very modern. Has it been recently decorated?
Better than that. In fact, the bathroom is completely new. It was only fitted last week. The house has also been given a professional clean and all of the rooms were redecorated after the landlord moved out.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
You can probably tell we like it.
I'm glad to hear.
But now let's get down to business. It's on the market at 1,500, you said, right?
Right.
Well, realistically, what do you think the landlord would be willing to accept?
I would say offers over 1,400.
Well, I'm not prepared to offer that. I'll make an initial offer of 1,200, and if that is rejected, I may consider upping my offer by £100, but that's as high as I'll go.
As you wish. You are happy with an initial contract of 12 months, I presume?
Yes, assuming there's a break clause after 6.
That's no problem. The standard contract allows you to give 2 months' notice that you will vacate the flat from the 4th month onwards, effectively. You can vacate any time after the 6th month, provided you give the proper notice in advance.
All sounds good. So, what happens next?
I will put your offer to the landlord, and if he accepts it, you'll be asked to put down a holding deposit of £500 to take the property off the market. Then, assuming your reference and credit checks come back okay, we can sign the letting agreement and get you moved in. Before you sign the contract, though, on top of the £500 holding deposit, you will have to put down a further 4 weeks' rent in payment of the full bond deposit, as well as fronting up your first month's rent in advance.
What about your fees?
We charge £120 per person to cover our administrative costs and reference checking. So times that by 2, and that's what you'll have to pay me.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll need a couple of hours to think it over, but we'll give you a call as soon as we decide one way or the other.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear part of a talk about how to attract birds to your garden. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
The best way to attract birds to your garden is by satisfying their basic needs, which are the need for water, the need for food, and the need for safety. Birds drink water and bathe in it, and many also use it to make mud to build their nests. A simple bird bath, which can be nothing more complicated than a shallow dish, will therefore attract birds. Don't use tin pans, as these get hot under the heat of the sun. In fact, a cement bowl is probably going to be the most effective bath to use. But make sure that it is no more than 6.5 centimetres deep. The best time of all to attract birds to your garden, and indeed the time when they need your help most, is during the winter season. During summer, birds can find most of their food on their own and are largely self-sufficient. In winter, however, they benefit greatly from the help of their human friends. Often, when it is cold, an ice or frost crust may form over the ground, covering the birds' natural food supply. It is when this happens that they really need your help with feeding. It is probably best, though, to start feeding from late autumn onwards. That way the birds will become used to finding food in a certain spot. So later, after the onset of the winter, they will become a permanent feature in your garden. Put food out at night so that the birds will find it the next morning. And whatever you do, make sure that you make your feeder accessible from a raised landing area only. Otherwise, you will find yourself attracting some unwanted pests such as rodents like mice and, worse still, rats. Continue feeding until early spring, when food becomes plentiful again. If you cannot serve them insects, then try to give the birds suet, a form of beef fat. You can buy this cheaply at pretty much any meat market, so it won't cost you an arm and a leg. As well as being nourishing, suet also has the advantage of not freezing during cold weather. Many birds will also enjoy crumbs, nuts and seeds. You can even serve them boiled potatoes and hard-boiled eggs, provided these are finely chopped. Other foods you probably have lying around in your store cupboard may also be used. Try feeding them raisins, figs, dried fruit generally, biscuits, boiled rice, and so on as well. If you want to build a birdhouse or nesting box, I would encourage you to proceed by all means. These offer fine protection, especially for the smaller and more vulnerable species. You can buy ready-made nesting boxes and shelves for a very reasonable price these days. Alternatively, if you fancy your hand at doing a little DIY, they are not very difficult to build either. Most birds prefer houses made of rough slabs of wood covered with bark, which to the birds feels quite authentic and natural. If at all possible, try to match your birdhouse to the surroundings as well. So, if you paint your birdhouse, be sure to use a dull grey-green or brown colour. The simplest type of birdhouse to construct yourself consists of a hollow branch nailed to a tree. When you are erecting your birdhouses, be sure to place them a good distance apart from one another. Few bird species enjoy nesting in close proximity to competitors of their own kind. Cleanliness is vitally important too. Your bird nest should be cleaned out yearly to make room for new nesting material to be brought in by their seasonal tenants. Early autumn is the best time to prepare your birdhouse, as the new season's chicks will have hatched and flown the coop, so to speak. Once cleaned, your birdhouses will be ready to welcome their spring visitors once they return to your neighbourhood early the next year.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.